Hello Minecraftians and welcome back to another episode of Realm News. I am your host, the Dark Lord, the one who puts the real in Realm and expands your mind one block at a time. I hope everyone has had a great week since the last time I talked to you all. Well, we are still in the Nether this week, and today we are talking about lava. Lava, that molten hot liquid that can be found randomly across the overworld, and oceans of lava found in the Nether. Lava may be one of those blocks that few Minecraftians ever think about. Today, I plan to change that. In today's episode, we will be covering the history of the lava block in Minecraft, its behavior, and its uses. If you are one of those players who do not utilize lava, then perhaps this episode will change your mind. Lava has some very important uses in the game. After pull time, I will link the lava block to the real, where we will discuss another Roman god, Vulcan, the god of lava, forges, blacksmithing, and metalworking. We will also take a look at the very unusual mob called the Strider, a mob who literally walks across oceans of lava in the Nether. So, if this interests you, then you will want to stay tuned. If you have anyone else who is a Minecraft fan or loves this type of content, well, send them this episode. Tell them to follow the show. With that said, let us go back through the Nether portal and go back into the Nether. You may want to bring some fire resistance potions along with you this time. Now, before we delve into the real and the realm of the show, I like to hear from the people themselves over a weekly poll that I post. It's poll time! I presented the Minecraft community another Nether poll for this week related to piglins. I simply asked, do you barter with piglins? Easy question, right? Well, I presented 3 choices to this question. Yes, occasionally, and no. This got 32 people to cast votes on this poll. I will start by reading the results. The loser of this week's poll is the No group. With a total of 6 votes, these are the people who do not wish to interact with these foul beings. I am one of these people. I try to avoid them like the plague or delete them with my weapon. However, I do plan on starting to trade with the piglins one day. One day down the road, I will get around to that. Just because I can trade some useful items that can be hard to come by anywhere else with these piglins. Like crying obsidian, for example. Or the fire-resistant potions and spectral arrows are just a couple items I would like to acquire. I imagine that other players are experiencing the same grief when it comes to bartering with piglins. Getting killed by them time after time will eventually create a stigma in avoiding these things and these mobs. At least it did for me, I should say. I still want to, like I just said, get the experience of bartering with one. I know I covered piglins and zombie piglins and the brutes in an episode a couple weeks ago, and I just need to do it for the experience. Now, allow us to move on to the second place option here, beating the no people by 1 vote with a total of 7 votes is the yes group. The Minecraftians who do, in fact, barter with these greedy piglins. Those players cast gold to piglins for a chance of a random item being tossed back at them. But as I said, you can get rare finds from bartering with piglins. As I explained in episode 26, Piglin, Zombie Piglins, and Piglin Brutes, Go take a listen to that episode if you want to learn more about this specific mob. The Yes group is the most fearless group of the three. My hat off to you, brave 7 voters who openly walk the nether and trade with potential hostiles. Moving on to the winner of this week's poll is obviously the occasionally group, because that's the last choice left out of the 3 in the poll. The occasional group beating the yes and no choices. The yes and no groups combined do not even come close to the occasional group. They had a grand total of 19 votes altogether, and this makes some sense to me. I think you would have to be quite the daring and experienced player to tango with piglins nonchalantly by trading with them. And the opposite for the folks such as myself, who have our guards up pretty tall when it comes to piglins, as I have already stated. People are also trading occasionally because players do not spend all their time in the nether. That would be absolutely absurd, unless that's just your thing, making a lava pit your home. I imagine these voters are just seeking something that can only be found by bartering with piglins. How about we hear from the Minecraft community by reading some of those comments? I will start with a fellow who goes by Zol is Here, who is a repeat contributor to Realm News polls. They say, quote, I barter a lot in the early games. I search for spectral arrows. Fire potions are very useful. Soul speed enchantment. Crying obsidian for respawning anchors. Strings to making scaffolding. And leather to make boots. End quote. I commented back saying that I am wanting some of those items. Fire potions would just be practical for nether survival. Spectral arrows just are efficient in being able to retrieve the arrows that you shot. And a respawn anchor is probably the next block that I am going to make for the nether. A respawn anchor would be so much better than respawning back into the overworld and then voyaging back through the portal and then going back to the nether to retrieve your items where you died. It would just save so much time and energy to be able to spawn back into the nether after death. Thank you, Zola is here. Next, Technician XD says, quote, I do it whenever I go to the nether. It's how I got crying obsidian for the first time, end quote. Now, this is a perfect example of someone in the yes group. And friend, I will be bartering for crying obsidian soon because I need to craft that respawn anchor, as I just said. Thank you for that comment. Now, moving on to Fried Sarlacc, who says, maybe it's Fried Sarlacc, sorry. They say, quote, make a gold farm first, then a piglin trading center in your nether hub. I recommend adding an auto sorter to the piglin trade center. It just makes life much better long term. Once done, there's so much useful materials to be had from this setup, end quote. This sounds amazing to have. I have seen these farms online and I would really like to construct a piglin gold farm. However, these just look extremely difficult to build. I've seen some of these videos. They look mind-boggling difficult. Maybe I'm just making more out of it in my own head than it really is, but these do look hard. Some of the videos I have seen have 2 portals linked together. Somehow the portal on the nether side is able to usher piglins out the other side into the overworld and then spews them from the sky where they fall to their death and their loot is collected. I do not know the specifics on all this. Not at all. Like I said, I do not have one of these farms yet. But I'm sure that there are videos out there showing piglin farms with much easier setups than what I just explained. The piglin trading center is something I have not heard about ever before. I am not quite sure how that all works, the trading center. But it sounds extremely efficient and quite awesome, honestly. Thank you, Fried Sarlacc, for that very interesting comment. You have made me want to make one of those farms now. This brings me to the end of the poll time, folks. We are now entering the segment of the show where I relate the real world with the game of Minecraft. we are moving on to the Roman/Greek god of lava, fire, deserts, forging, and metalworking. Allow me to introduce you to the Roman Greek god named Vulcan. Welcome to The Real. Today we have a very interesting subject to discuss over a god that was both recognized by the Romans and the Greeks with very little difference in their interpretation of this god. The Romans referred to him as Vulcan. The Greeks called him Hephaestus. I prefer Vulcan, easier to say and has a better ring to it. This god was known for his excellent craftsmanship in blacksmithing, metallurgy, and fire. This included volcanoes all the way to keeping candles lit. I found a great article on historycooperative.org by Syed, Rafid, Kabir, titled Vulcan, the Roman god of fire and volcanoes, dated on January 24th, 2024. This year, Vulcan is one of the oldest gods in the Roman and Greek mythology. His parents were the very famous Jupiter and Juno of Mount Olympus. However, having famous parents did not benefit poor Vulcan. It is said that he was born so hideous and weak that his mother Juno could not stand him, could not bear sight of the boy. Vulcan and his Greek counterpart, Hephaestus, are both considered the ugliest of all the mythological gods of the pantheon. Juno immediately tossed the child off Mount Olympus to rid him out of sheer disgust. I know, this turned out to be a very sad story right out the gate. I had no idea till I did the research for this episode. Fortunately for Vulcan, a titaness named Tethys took care of him. She took him to an island named Lemnos, where he was raised and where he started to tinker with gadgets and metallurgy. Vulcan had a real knack for blacksmithing. He perfected this craft and became very well known for his blacksmithing and being a master crafter of many things. I would like to take this moment to give a brief description of the Greek island of Lemnos, where Vulcan or Hephaestus, was raised. Lemnos, they can be spelled two different ways, but according to Wikipedia.org titled Lemnos, Lemnos can be spelled Lemnos or with an I, Limnos. It is the 8th largest island in Greece. It is approximately 477 square kilometers in size, or 184 square miles in size. This island is just brimming full of mythology. This brings me back to the Greek equivalent of Vulcan, Hephaestus. One can argue they are the same. Hephaestus, however, was cast out of Olympus by Zeus, as opposed to Juno, who cast out Vulcan. Hephaestus landed on the island of Lemnos, but suffered a broken leg upon his crash landing. The people of Lemnos aided him and raised him. In return for their generosity, he taught them blacksmithing. In fact, his forge is said to have originated there on that island. Hephaestus was so important to the inhabitants of the island that they named the ancient capital city, which is no longer there anymore. It's just an archaeological ruin these days. But they named the capital city on that island Hephaestia. I also found a site called GreekTravel.com that has an interesting blog on Lemnos. It claimed that there is a population of around 17,000 inhabitants who reside there today. It has a picturesque sandy beaches dotting the entirety of the island, and it has a rugged mountainous terrain. The current temperature, as I look up today, is in the 90s or 32 degrees Celsius, which is about the same as it is right now here in Kansas. And And on this island, it can get cold enough to produce a slight amount of snowfall in the winter. It is located in the Aegean Sea, so it remains rather warm from what I could tell and from what I've read. I am glad that I learned about this island because now I put it on my bucket list to visit one day. It just looks simply stunning. Go check out the link I'm providing because it does. It looks beautiful. And the mythology behind the island simply intrigues me. Now, moving back to Vulcan in Kabir's article, Vulcan, after he grew up to an adult on this island of Lemnos, he had found out who his true parents were. He pieced everything together somehow and learned that he was a god and that he was abandoned by his mother Juno, who tossed him off Mount Olympus. Vulcan was infuriated by this knowledge. He began immediately to craft a trap in order to take revenge on his mother. He crafted a beautiful throne gilded with gold. It was simply stunning. The craftsmanship was second to none. In fact, he would later go on to craft all the gods their personal thrones. He also forged Jupiter's lightning bolts and is rumored to make the infamous winged helmet that Mercury wears on his head. He had the throne delivered to his mother Juno. When she saw the throne, she was taken back by such beautiful craftsmanship that she sat herself right upon it, as a goddess would. But to her surprise, the act of sitting upon said throne set off a trap. She was immediately ensnared in the throne, unable to get out. Vulcan then entered with his demands. He told his mom that he would set her free under one condition: if he could marry Venus, the prettiest god in Mount Olympus. Juno eventually agreed to this condition so she could be released. And so the ugliest god married the most beautiful goddess. Venus, of course, did not approve of this forced marriage. Venus would later perform adultery on Vulcan, which would set him into a fiery rage. In fact, every time Vulcan has a temper tantrum, a volcano will erupt on Earth. So you can thank Vulcan for those volcanic eruptions that destroy many civilizations. So you would want to appease this god. And the people did appease this god. They constructed temples in his honor. According to Vindolanda.com, they would build these temples for worshiping Vulcan far outside of cities and away from flammable products such as fields and other burnable goods. Just in case the fire god became angry and wanted to set the world ablaze. Another way that people would appease this fierce, fiery god was to throw a festival every year on August 23rd called Volcanalia. They chose this month because of the heat of the summer and the risk of fires occurring. It was customary to build enormous bonfires and toss in small fish and animals as sacrifices to Vulcan. Hopefully this would make him happy and he would not catch Rome on fire as had occurred in history, in prior history. Like there was a huge fire that devastated Rome, the capital. And so after that fire, they really paid attention to the fire god Vulcan. But Vulcan was unpredictable. Going back to Kabir's article, I am sure that you have all heard of Pompeii, the ancient Roman city that was wiped out by the volcano called Mount Vesuvius. Well, the city of Pompeii must not have celebrated their Volcanalia properly because evidently they upset Vulcan. The day after Volcanalia, the 28th of August, in Pompeii, Mount Vesuvius rained its death upon the city. It is now a major archaeological site. The volcanic ash and whatnot kept the city perfectly preserved, and we are learning a lot about this ancient culture from the volcano's destructive aftermath. All thanks to Vulcan. Now, I would like to tell you one more story that Vulcan took part of. It all starts with Prometheus, the Titan of Fire. All humans should thank the Titan of Fire, Prometheus. Why? Well, I am getting to that. But first, I must tell you that humans did not always have fire. According to Greek mythology, fire was a highly guarded element, held secret by the gods. Prometheus must have been a sympathetic titan. He noticed by gazing upon Earth that humans were suffering from the lack of fire. We couldn't keep warm. We had to eat raw food. And we couldn't stay up at night and party. People, I am trying to describe that it was a real bummer to be a human prior to the advent of fire. But that all changed one day, after Prometheus somehow tricked Jupiter into gifting fire to humans. The humans cheered and marveled at the miracle of fire. Finally, we had a solution. We could now eat cooked food and party all throughout the night. But this did not stop Jupiter from becoming enraged with poor Prometheus. Jupiter banished the Titan and had him tied to a rock for seagulls to pick at his liver for eternity, just because he gave us the gift of fire. Sorry, Prometheus, but thanks for the fire, man. But this was not enough for Jupiter. This did not quench his thirst for revenge. He summoned Vulcan to build him something catastrophic to unleash upon the humans for acquiring this amazing gift. Vulcan went to work. Vulcan's weapon of choice was a woman, made out of clay, like the golems made by Jewish mystiques in the days of antiquity. He made this clay woman Pandora. He named this clay woman Pandora, and he gave her a box full of the most heinous things imaginable. Greed, plague, hate, sloth, all the 7 sins, and anything poisonous that you can think of that humankind has on earth was all sealed in that box. Pandora, though, was a very curious person, because when she arrived on Earth, she opened the box and unleashed it all upon humanity. This was all in Vulcan's plan, and we are still experiencing the pains of Pandora's box to this day. And that is where I am going to leave off on Vulcan. I thought it was extremely fascinating to learn about this Roman/Greek god. There is so much more myth to this Roman god that I could read, but I will leave all the links in the show description for you all to read if you are interested. Now that we have gone through the segment of the realm or of the real and learned some very interesting information to aid in our deepening in our gameplay, let us move on to the realm of the show, where I will be discussing lava and a lava-dwelling creature called the Strider that resides in the Nether. Welcome to the realm, my Minecraft friends, where we are in the Nether once again, and this will be the last episode in the Nether for a while. I shall be taking us back into the overworld in next week's episode. We will probably revisit the Nether in October, just in time for Halloween. There is a lot to cover in the Nether. It's just a very hostile dimension with a lot of fascinating blocks and some other mobs I haven't quite got to yet. So trust me, we're just going to take a little break and we'll be jumping right back into this dimension in October. Now, lava to you may be one of those source blocks that you do not think about often. Sure, it is impossible to ignore in the Nether, and you have probably came upon it in your overworld travels. Perhaps you are a veteran when it comes to utilizing lava, or maybe you have no clue what it can be used for. Well, don't worry, because I will explain all there is to know about this molten hot liquid. Let's start with its history in the game. According to minecraft.wiki.com, lava made its very first appearance right off the bat in the early days of Minecraft. In the 0.0.12a snapshot on May 19th, 2009, Most of lava's history, from what I can tell, have been extensive, mostly in changing its colors and the block's mechanics, like how it spreads as an example. An interesting fact is that on June 15th, 2010, a year after its conception, buckets were added to the game and players were able to collect lava in it, as we still do today. And a very odd fact that I found in lava's history is that lava for a brief period of time was the color of the biome that it was found in, such as there was green lava. I think that was in jungle biomes maybe, or a greenish biome, a lush biome of some sorts, but it was a green, and then they had a dark off-color green lava and a dark brown lava for another biome, and so on. I don't think this was ever available for gameplay to the players. I think this was just an idea that they were toying around with that never made it into fruition. But it was really odd to read about in the history section of that wiki. It was just weird. I'm glad that it wasn't put into the game. I don't think it would look right to have green lava or these other color lava. It makes no sense to me. Plus, can't be camouflaged in that biome, I would think. And that would just make it super easy to fall into a lava pit. Maybe that's what they were planning on, to make like a little pitfall for players. I have no idea. I don't know how that idea came into existence. I thought it was kind of funny, and I just want to share that with you all. But thank you, Mojang, for not implementing that into the game. Now, let's move on to the lava behavior, okay? Lava is usually seen in the overworld in single source blocks. Sometimes it's also found in lava lakes and is obviously seen all over the nether, as you've probably seen if you've been to the nether. Now, you can collect lava in buckets, as I've already stated, or you can place this, after you collect it in a bucket, into a cauldron. In fact, you can farm lava. Just place the lava source block above a dripstone block and contain it there. After that, place a dripstone at the bottom of the dripstone block. Under the dripstone, you can place a cauldron under that, and it will collect the lava that drips into it. This is a great way to have a renewable source of lava. In fact, I have 3 towns that have lava farms using this dripstone and cauldron method, and I love it. I now fuel my entire empire almost off of lava when it comes to smelting glass and ore, food, what have you. Now, there are several reasons to why you would want to collect lava. As I have mentioned in episode 24, titled Nether Portals on Realm News, nether portals are made solely from obsidian, and obsidian can be created by you, the player, when you make water touch lava. You can also make cobblestone if you make lava touch water, the inverse of creating obsidian. I make obsidian this way, and I have a cobblestone generator using this interaction between lava and water. Once you collect lava in a bucket, you can place that bucket in a furnace or blast furnace and use it to smelt ores and cook food. You can smelt anything with lava like you would with charcoal, coal, and wood. But lava is far more a superior fuel source than those other ones I just mentioned, the charcoal, coal, and wood. It's just better. It will cook or smelt exactly 100 items before running out of that fuel. But make sure to have at least 100 items of whatever it is that you are smelting or cooking. Because once the lava is fired up, it will keep burning even if there's nothing there to be cooked or smelted. It'll just waste away. Not only is lava a great fuel source, but it is also a great light source. Lava will emit a light level at the maximum 15. This proves to be amazing at keeping hostile mobs from spawning. Allow me to tell you about a few places that I have implemented lava for light. I will construct these tall glass structures that go high into the air. They are squarish and hollow throughout the middle of the structure. I fill up the center of these vestibules with lava, allowing its glowing light to emit through the glass. These lava lamps, as I call them, can be found in several of my towns throughout my world, such as the town called Lamplight in the New World in my realm. This town is named after its lava lighthouse. It is a coastal town in the province of Athenia, and this was its very first structure. There is also one outside of my grand desert outpost, and the Gaia Divine Library Lighthouse, located in Seatown, my capital, gets all of its light power from lava. Also, I almost forgot that I made a lamplight. Sorry, I cannot talk today. That I made a lamplight and gifted it to my brother, the Sun King, in his Farthian neighborhood in Seatown. So I incorporate lava very often for light sources throughout my empire. But I also utilize lava as a perpetual defensive weapon outside some of my cities. A town called Newport is a perfect example of this. The front of Newport butts right up against a river, and the town's backside is exposed to a sandy beach where hostile mobs spawn. Instead of building a wall to keep the hostile mob back in order to sleep at night, I developed a more economical method to rid these zombies, skeletons, creepers, spiders, and what else lurks out there. I did this by placing several lava source blocks on the backside of the town's infrastructure, allowing the lava to spew out onto the beach. Now, any mob, hostile or friendly, that wanted to get close to Newport would be burned alive. And this has been extremely effective keeping those monsters at bay. I can sleep peacefully there now. I want to also tell you that you can place a bucket of lava into a dispenser and connect it to redstone, allowing you to turn it on and off. Turning it on will make it pour out lava, and turning it off will, turn it off. This just gives you more liberty with how you want to control your lava defenses or for whatever purposes you have in mind. Next, allow me to tell you about lava's damage. Let me read off the damage that lava can do to you if you happen to fall into it. I pulled these numbers directly from minecraft.wiki.com. Allow me to read these off. Now I'm going to start with it. If you fall into lava or are exposed to lava with no armor, you'll die in 2.5 seconds. It won't take too long before you just roast to death. Now with full leather armor and no enchantments, it'll take you 3.5 seconds to die. It'll take 4.5 seconds with full gold armor, no enchantments. 5 seconds with full chain armor, no enchantments. 6.5 seconds with full iron armor, no enchantments. 12.5 seconds with full diamond armor, no enchantments. And 12.5 seconds with full netherite armor, no enchantments. Besides lava being able to destroy you, lava can also burn up saplings, cobwebs, tall grass, dead bushes, wheat, flowers, mushrooms, snow, lily pads, vines, levers, buttons, all 3 types of torches, redstone, repeaters, end rods, and rails. And as I said, it will destroy anything but netherite that drops into it. I actually have a trash can in Seatown that has lava in it that I use to toss things that I find useless into it, like chicken eggs and rotten flesh. Yes, I do not use these. I find them to be quite useless items of abundance. Lava will also burn down anything made of wood, which makes sense. Or if it touches wood, it will burn it. It will catch on fire. Now moving on, lava flows at different rates depending on whether or not you encounter it in the overworld or the nether. It will flow the same in the overworld as it does in the end. At 4 blocks and with a flow speed of 30 ticks per block. The flow distance doubles in the nether. It will flow out to 8 blocks, and it travels with 3 times the speed in comparison to the overworld. It flows at 10 ticks per block. So beware of this while in the nether. This is why you should never dig straight up or down or in any direction without precaution. A lava source block could be behind the next block you mine. A quick tip on knowing if there is lava above your head, well, you will literally notice drops of lava falling from the blocks above you, just trickling down from the lava directly above your head. You will see this in the overworld and nether while mining. I notice this usually around deep slate and deep underground within the overworld. The drips will not harm you. These only act as a warning that there is a lake of lava probably above your head. Accompanying this visual, if you have sound turned on while playing, you will also hear the liquid gurgling sound of it. But minecraft.wiki goes on to explain that there's a way to make yourself lava-proof just in case lava does spill onto you. It is best if I just quote directly from the source. Quote, "A player could survive indefinitely as long as they have food and their armor holds up. Non-netherite armor is damaged by lava. This maximum bonus can be obtained by wearing 2 pieces of armor with fire protection 4 and 1 with protection 4, or 1 piece of armor with fire protection 4 and 3 pieces of armor with protection 4. End quote. This is great advice that I did not even know until I read this and researched for this episode. I now really feel an urgency to get some of these enchantments because I fall in lava often in the nether. But first, I need to get some more netherite so I can make netherite armor. Otherwise, it's useless. And my friends, I recommend that you all do the same thing because it is very easy, as I said, to fall into a lava ocean right there in the nether or even a lava pit by accident in the overworld because you don't really expect those. Or accidentally removing a block and lava spills out all over you while you're mining underground. That happens quite often as well. However, lava, as I attempted to detail here in this episode, is a very useful material in Minecraft. It can be found all around the overworld, and oceans are made of it in the nether. From cooking and smelting large amounts of meat and ore to using it as a light source and implementing it as a defensive device around your cities. You will sure find a use for lava in your empire. Perhaps you will be building temples to the volcano god Vulcan. I think it would be really neat to make a couple temples outside of one of my cities and dedicate that to him. Maybe I'll make my own Pompeii and not let it burn down. That is all I have today on lava. But that does not end our show quite yet. I have a mob I want to discuss next. A mob that thrives in lava and literally gets cold outside of it. This is probably one of the strangest looking mobs in the game of Minecraft, and that is something to be said. It is called the Strider. The Strider, folks, is a straight up weird looking creature. It is a thing of nightmares. It will haunt you after encountering it. It looks like it came straight out of Freddy Krueger's dreams. Allow me to try to describe what this beast looks like. It is a cubed head on top of 2 elongated legs. The head is quite repulsive. It is primarily composed of a netherrack maroon color. That's the color of most of this whole entity. With 2 little beady eyes that are positioned in the front of the head, which can be called its face. The eyes are spread out very wide on just the edges of the face opposite of each other. The elongated crack that sort of forms a frown is its mouth that hangs just below the beady little eyes. The mouth goes from one corner of the head to the other. The Strider has no nose nor nostrils. It is purely a mouth breather, which makes it that much more unflattering. On its head, it has some blemishes that are a dark gray, like mud maybe. The Strider also has a few hairs or feelers on top of its head. Long, wispy, silvery hairs that are sparse and hang only on the sides of the head. The top of its head is bald. The Strider's only 2 extremities are its legs. It has no arms. But it being a bipedal head with a mouth causes a perturbance to arise in your soul. The legs are unique. They are rather long in comparison to its body. And the tops of the legs are the same color of the head, that maroon color. But as you go further down the legs, it turns into that grayish black texture. Almost looks like it's wearing boots to withstand the lava, or that it has developed a lava-resistant exterior around the bottom of its legs. This creature has obviously endured some very strange evolution during its existence in the Nether. According to minecraft.wiki, the Strider is the only mob in the Nether to be friendly to you. Look at me. I'm making this mob out to be like a demon from hell. But he's a friendly guy. I mean, you wouldn't think so by looking at him, but this mob can be your equivalent of the overworld pig. I mean, you can ride this critter across the Nether lava oceans by putting a saddle on it. Just like saddling a pig and using a carrot on a stick, you can use the warp fungus on a stick to control the Strider. The Strider is not only rideable on lava, you can also ride it on land. However, I must tell you that it does not perform well on land. It slows it down a little bit. Its legs will actually shrink down a smidge. It will start to shiver badly and will turn a deep dark purple in color, indicating that it is freezing. Do not worry though, your Strider is not dying when this happens. But water, rain, and splash water bottles on the other hand can damage this creature. If water makes contact with this mob, it will cause 1 damage point or half a heart of damage. Snowballs, however, will not hurt it. I must also tell you that you are not the only thing that can ride the Strider. Zombie piglins can ride these as well. And if they are angered by you, they will direct the Strider towards you and attack. Besides a zombie piglin riding these, a baby Strider can ride an adult Strider, and an adult Strider can ride another adult Strider. If a baby Strider or an adult Strider is riding on top of an adult Strider, the top Strider, whether that being a baby or an adult, will start shivering and turn that purple cold color because it is outside the lava. It's an odd thing to witness. It truly is. I have personally seen a zombie piglin ride. I think it was a baby zombie piglin riding one of these when I was down there once. And I don't even know how to describe it. I didn't know that was a thing. It was so weird. I couldn't get a snapshot of it. I wish I did. It was so funny. Now I should go on to explain what this mob drops on its death. I mentioned those nasty wispy hairs on its head. Well, they serve a purpose. The Strider, when killed, has the possibility of dropping 2 to 5 strings. That is a great range of string to have dropped. Much more string than a spider drops. You can make Strider farms and have all the string that a player could ever want. You can do this by breeding Striders by feeding 2 of them warped fungus. They love warped fungus, which makes perfect sense if you apply the logic, you are what you eat. One last thing that I would like to mention before we leave the Strider. If you adore this creature so much and just cannot bear to leave it in the Nether, you can take it back home with you through the Nether portal. It is one of the rare creatures that will not zombify when crossing over to the overworld, which just makes my head spin with theories as I say that. If you do so, if you take the Strider back with you, make sure that you get it into shelter ASAP, such as a roofed stable or some shelter. You do not want to start raining on your new friend. Remember, water is its enemy. I think that I would set up some sort of huge lava room to keep and breed my Striders in. Set up a water blade and make an automatic Strider farm to gather string. Please, if you have not been to the Nether yet, I urge you to please go visit it and check out that Strider. It's worth the trip to just catch a glimpse of it running across lava fields. It is a sight to see. Make one your ride. It may prove to be a great way to traverse the Nether. I have yet to try it. Once I do, I will let you all know on my Discord, Reddit, and Twitter accounts. You can find all that at bio.link/realmnews. And with that said, folks, that wraps up all that I have on the Strider for this week. Lava and Striders. I hope that you had a fun time listening to this week's episode. I had a good time doing the research on those two entities in the game. I have been a fan of lava since the very first time that I found it. It has been so practical for smelting and cooking food. Not only for that, but for making all the nether portals and obsidian for my kingdom. Lava is also great for defensive purposes around villages and cities. Not only does it burn mobs, but it provides a light source as bright as Minecraft's sun. This can be used to prevent hostile mob generation at night. It also wouldn't hurt to build a temple and dedicate it to the Roman god Vulcan. Always good to have a fire god on your side. Also, when you go into the nether, or the next time that you go there, keep your eye on the lookout for the bipedal, armless, gray-haired head that runs amok the lava oceans called the Strider. Don't forget to bring that saddle through the nether portal either. Who knows, you may want to ride one. Perhaps there's a shortcut across the lava field. However you choose to ride your Strider, I wish you all happy exploring and a safe time out there around that lava. I will see you all on a new Realm News next Thursday. As usual, it was an absolute honor to be your host. I wish you all happy crafting. With that said, the Dark Lord signing out. Hello, Overworld and Minecraftians! If you love this show and want to show your support, you can do so by following it. Follow and rate it. That is the best way to tell me that you enjoy what I am producing. Also, if you happen to have some friends who are also Minecraft enthusiasts and love to learn or want to deepen their Minecraft experience with the real-world knowledge that I link into these episodes, then tell them to type into the search bar Realm News wherever they listen to their podcasts. Also, tell them to go to bio.link/realmnews to check out Realm News' Reddit, Twitter, email, and Discord. Thank you all for all of your support, and until next week, happy crafting.